In today's video I'm going to show you how to create a simple maze game using GameMaker Studio. It's going to look pretty similar to the one you can see on your screen at the moment, where you've got this little yellow bear that can navigate through the maze using the arrow keys on the keyboard. There's not much to it apart from collecting diamonds and also running into a finish line. When you hit that finish line, you will go through to the next level. Okay, so in the next level, basically the same thing. Collect the diamonds, hit the finish line. It's only a 2-level game, so when you finish, you'll get a little message saying, well done, you've won the game, and then it will exit. Okay, so fairly simple game. Let's get started today by heading over to GameMaker Studio and making ourselves a new project. Okay, make sure you're saving it in your documents folder into Year 10 IPR. And I'm going to give it the name Simple Maze Game. And I'm going to click on create, and that's just going to create the game for us. Close off some of those windows so we're left with our main window to work in. Now before we start making our game today, we do need to copy a bunch of resources over to our accounts. So in Curriculum Drive you'll see the Simple Maze Game resources, where you've got a little bear, finish line, the wall, a diamond to collect, some backgrounds and a couple of sounds. So what we're going to do is just copy that resources folder, head into our accounts, and hopefully you've got this Simple Maze Game folder now created, and just paste those resources in there. Okay, so there they are. We can now head over to, so let's close that game off, head over to GameMaker and begin by bringing in our sprites. Now the first sprite we want to bring in our resources here, it's the bear. You can see it's got that green background behind it, so we're going to have to check the remove background box there just to get rid of that green background. And don't forget to give it a name, SPR_bear. It's really important to give your sprites meaningful names. Okay, so we're going to load in the next sprite, which is going to be the diamond. This one we don't have to remove the background, so just leave it as it is. Click on open. SPR diamond is what that one will be called. The next sprite is going to be the finish line. Again, it's got that green background that we're going to have to remove. So remove the background from the flag or the finish line, and we'll call this one SPR_finish. And finally, I think we had one more sprite there to bring in. We did. It was the wall. Uncheck the remove background box, otherwise you'll only have half a wall, so make sure we've got nothing checked. Click on open and give it the name SPR_wall. They're the 4 sprites that we're going to need in our game today. Now remember, when we bring in sprites, we need to immediately convert them into objects so we can actually start coding those objects up and making them do stuff in our game. So the first object is obj_bear, and we click where it's got no sprite and attach the bear sprite to it, and then click OK. Click that blue ball at the top again, and we'll put in obj_diamond, and we'll give it the diamond sprite. Okay, the next object is the finish line, so let's write obj_finish and attach the finish line to that object. And finally, obj_wall is our last object. Attach the wall sprite to it. And don't forget, you need to make your walls solid, so check that box that says solid and then click OK. Now you can see the 4 different objects are in our library, so they're ready to be programmed. We want to bring in a couple of backgrounds now, so let's load up some backgrounds. And now resources, we've got World 1. Remember, nothing should be checked over here. We don't want to remove the background from this one. I'm going to be very simple and just call it BG_1. So that's the BG or background for our first level. I'm going to load in one more background. This time it's World 2. Give it the name BG_2. Okay, so we've got our 2 backgrounds in our game now. Finally, we want to bring in the sounds that we're going to use. We've got 3 sounds, I think. So we've got the diamond sound. So when we collect a diamond, we want to call it SND_diamond. So when we collect a diamond, we'll play that sound. We've also got some music for the background in this one, so hopefully I remember to put that in. So call it SND_music. Click OK. And finally, we've got one last sound to import, and that's the success one. So that means when we finish a level, we'll play that sound. So SND_success. You can click on OK. You can see the 3 different sounds in there now. The music's a special one, that's why it's got that different colour there, but they're all sound files and they're all going to work fine in our game. Next step is to create our levels up, so let's create a room up here. Start in the settings tab. I'm going to make this a really small game. Oops, I'll give it the name level 1. And the width is going to be 320. The height's going to be 320. Just a very small little game. The background, I'm going to go down halfway where it says no background and click on that and select BG1 so we get these whirls. And then in the objects tab, we need to start with object wall. So click once and choose object wall, hold down shift and control and put your wall around the outside of the page. That looks good. Now you need to make a bit of a maze. So I'll let you decide how your maze should look. I'm just going to try and do something symmetric. I think that looks a bit nicer. Okay, something simple like that will work. Once you've got your maze drawn, you can drop object bear into the corner and throw a few diamonds in the game, so he has to collect a few diamonds. The last object we want to put in is our finish line, so choose wherever you want to put your finish line. And we've got our first level made. So click on the green tick at the top of the page. If a box comes up saying there's an instance of a tile outside the room, just say yes to that. It will just delete anything that may have been outside of the room. And we've now got level 1 created. We need to then go and make level 2, so we make a second room. You can see that it appears just below level 1. We'll give it the name level 2. Same width and height, so 320 by 320 for the width and height. For the background, you're going to go down and choose the second one, which is the red colour. If you don't like seeing all these little swirls and you want just one big swirl, you can actually click the stretch option here. That will stretch it out into one big swirl. It does look a little bit pixelated though, because it's not a very high quality image, so I might leave that unchecked. Oh, actually, I've stuffed everything up now, so I might just leave it at stretch. Alright, so we will go to objects next and just quickly make our maze. This one, I've got no idea what it's going to look like, so we'll just make something up as we go. Something like that'll do. Put the bear in the corner, put the finish line in another corner, and throw a few diamonds in there, so he has to collect a few diamonds. Oops, still on the finish line there. Alright, so that'll do for level 2, nothing too fancy. We'll click on the tick and just say yes to that box. Okay, so we've got both levels made up, all objects ready to go, so let's start programming or coding our game to make it work. We'll start with the object bear today, and we want to make him move first of all, so we need to add it in an event and choose the keyboard event. When we choose the keyboard event, we're going to put some code on these first 4 options here, the left key, right key, up key and the down key. So let's start with the left key. So when we press the left key, we want the bear to move to the left. There's 2 things we need to do here. Go to your control tab first and select this grid. It's called check grid. You need to make sure your little bear is moving through the 32 by 32 grid nicely. So if it's aligned with the grid, we're going to go back to the move tab there and just select that first bunch of red arrows, move it to the left at speed 4. Okay, just check that one arrow to the left, speed 4, click OK. That's all you need to do to make your little bear move to the left. Now we just repeat this process by adding in the keyboard events, this time for the right key. And the right key, we need to go to the Control tab first and check that it's lined up with the grid. It's 32 by 32 grid. And then we go and move it with the red arrows to the right at speed 4. You must use speed 4 with this 32 by 32 grid, otherwise it's not going to work properly. So make sure you're choosing speed 4. Next, add in an event for the up key. And you want to put in the check grid action, make it 32 by 32, click OK, move it up at speed 4. And the last one is the down key. You need to add, need to add in the action to check the grid, 32 by 32, and then move it down at speed 4. So that's got our little bear moving when we press the arrow keys. One more thing we need to add in, if we just go back to the add a keyboard event, you want to put in this no key event. That means when we take our finger off the arrow keys, he'll stop moving. Okay, while we're pushing down on the left and the up, obviously he's going to move in that direction, but when we stop pressing those keys, we want to tell him to stop moving. So it's done the same way. We check the grid again, 32 by 32, and in the move tab, we just tell him to stop moving by pressing that center square. That'll stop him in place and set the speed to 0 so he can't go anywhere. Alrighty, so that's our code to make our little bear move. If we press the green play button and test that, we'll give it a crack and see if we've got our little bear moving. And remember, Game Makers is just a little bit slow to compile the game. Actually, that was pretty quick. Let's see. When I press the up key, he moves up 1 space. When I press right, he moves right. Okay, if you hold the keys down, he will keep moving. You can see he runs through the walls and doesn't collect diamonds at this stage, and I don't think he'll be able to hit the finish line either, so let's start putting some of that coding. First of all, let's make him collect the diamonds. So what we need to do there is open up Object Diamond. So I'm going to click OK on the bear and double click on Object Diamond. Now to collect the diamonds, you need to add in a collision event with the bear. So when the bear and the diamond have that collision, you want the diamonds to do a few things. First of all, you want to give yourself a score. So let's go to the Score tab, choose the first bunch of yellow dots with the grey background and give yourself 10 points and make it relative so your score keeps adding up. So you get 10 points for hitting a diamond. In the Main 1 tab, choose that first grey speaker and play a sound. We've got Sound Diamond. Loop will be false, so it doesn't keep repeating itself. And that will play the sound of a diamond being picked up. Okay, finally you want that diamond to disappear. Okay, once you run into it, you collect it, it disappears. And the way we make it disappear is hit in the Main 1 tab, this little recycle bin here. It's called Destroy Instance. And we just want it to just destroy itself. So click OK. So that little piece of code there, give us 10 points, play the sound of a diamond, and destroy the diamond, so make it disappear. That's when the bear runs into the diamond. So click on OK. Back on Object Bear, why don't we put in the collision event with the wall now? So add in an event when the bear has a collision with the wall. What do we want to happen? We basically want him to stop still and not move anywhere. So we start by going to the Control tab, checking the grid again, doing the 32 by 32, and then just telling it to stop moving. So using that bunch of red arrows, stop moving, speed 0. Alrighty, so that should have our bear stopping when he hits the wall. He's collecting diamonds, he's moving freely. I think the next step is to get him to switch from one level to the next. So to make our bear change from one level to the other, we need to add in an event, and that event is going to be a collision with the finish line. You must hit that finish line first before we change into the next level. Now there's quite a few actions that we need to do when he hits the finish line. The first one is to play a sound. So in your Main 1 tab, let's just play that sound of success. The loop will be false, we don't want it to keep repeating. So it plays the happy sound, you've hit the finish line, that's all well and good. The next thing we need to do, still in the Main 1 tab, is check to see if there's another level to go to. And we do that by clicking the very last button down here, that right green arrow. So if the next room exists, then we want to go into that next room. And we do that by pushing this green arrow pointing to the right here. Okay, so that says go to next room. So far when our bear hits the finish line, we play a sound to say yep, you've hit the finish line, good on you. Then we check to see if there's another room or another level. If there is, we go to it. But if there isn't another level, we must be at the end of the game. So in the control tab, choose this else option. So what else do we do if there's no more rooms? Well, we start a block of events. So hit this up looking arrow to start a block. And the first thing you want to do in your main to tab is hit the little speech bubble. What we're going to write in is, well done, you've finished the game. Click OK. After we display that little message, we can just finish our game off by pressing this red button here, which is end the game. Once you've done that, just go to the control tab again and close your block of events off, so end the block. So that should be all good now when we hit that finish line. Okay, we're not quite finished yet, but let's just give it another test run and see if we can change levels okay, and if we can finish our game okay. You should also be checking to see if we can collect diamonds. Alright, so we're going to move it around. Looking all good. I can hear the sound playing through my headphones. And we're through to the next level, which looks good. And when we hit the finish line this time, there's no more levels to go to, so hopefully a little message displays, which it does. When we click OK, our game ends. So that's working great. So one more thing I really want to add in, and that's a little scoreboard. Okay, so remember we make the score panel using an empty object, so we'll call it obj underscore score. No sprite will be attached to it. We simply need to add in a draw event, and in our score option here we're going to draw the score. Now you need to choose where you want it. I'll put it at 32 by 32 again, and we'll just go and have a look in our first level to see if that's going to be alright. So it's going to display along here. I might need to get rid of a couple of these bricks just so we can see that score panel okay. So it should be alright in level 1 in the 32 by 32 X and Y coordinates. Let's have a look at level 2. It's going to display along there, so that should be fine as well. They are pretty dark background colors, so what I might do again is go to my draw tab at the bottom and click this color palette and just change the color to white. And click OK, and just move that set color above, draw the value of the score. So we set the color white first of all, then we draw our score, which is going to be white text. Okay, so in level 1, just go to your objects tab and insert that object score up the top there. Remember it comes out as a little question mark, that's because we don't have a sprite attached to it. In level 2, we're going to do the same thing. Go to your Objects tab, choose the score, and drop it up the top there. Can't really see if that's going in or not. Object score. There it is. Okay, so we should be good to test our game out. Hopefully we're finished now. GameMaker will just do its thing while it compiles the game. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, here we go. Yes, and there's our little score up there. So let's see when we collect these diamonds. Yeah, we do get a bit of a score. That's all well and good. Let's go to the next level. Just turn my volume up a bit so I can hear this. Perfect. Sounds are working, scores working, our little message appears, and our game closes. So that's our simple maze game all finished for now. If you wanted to, you could add a bad guy in there. You should have got the hang of adding in bad guys when we did the Catch the Clown game. We're going to make another maze game in the next tutorial where we add a lot more complexity to the game. So if you don't want to add bad guys into this game, you can do it in the next one. What we're going to do now is simply hit the save disk to save it, and then go to File and Create Application. You only do the Create Application if you want to take it home and play it on your home computer. So we're going to just save it into Simple Maze Game folder. I'll keep it as the same name, simplemazegame.exe. Save it, and that's exported now as a game file. So you're all finished.